Hey everybody, my name is Kaylee Groff, and this video is about the creation process of my first ever music video for my song Guardian Angel. I've never actually done a talkback video before, so we're just gonna see how this goes. If you haven't seen the full video yet, I'll link to it down in the description so you can watch it. So I thought I could talk a bit about the creation process for this video. It actually started a few years ago when I started writing the song. And the song itself had an entire creation process to it. I originally wrote it based on one specific image that a friend of mine had given me. And then as I developed the lyrics and the music, the song kind of took on a life of its own, and it became about a very different story than I had originally intended. So I just kind of ran with that new meaning. And the song ended up being what it is, and that gave me an idea for the music video. Because as specific as the lyrics to the song are, they're not really explicit about the story that they're telling. And while neither is the video, the clips do give a little bit more context for the story. Having never filmed a music video before, and because I was working on the project mostly on my own, my process probably doesn't line up to the way that professional music videos are done, but it's something that worked for me, and I figured I'd walk through it because it makes the video make a little bit more sense as well. I started with the pre-production of the video about 6 months after I had recorded the song, and that was when the idea came to me. I was here at college and I was starting to get ideas for images that could go along with the song and kind of flesh out the story a little bit. So what I started doing was writing down some of those images that I'd thought of and kind of creating a loose storyboard, and at this point it was all in my head. It wasn't until I actually reached out to the actors that I started writing things down on paper. Once I'd gotten commitment from the actors I wanted to work with, I started creating a shot list for them so that they could know exactly what I was going to need them to do. The shot list was incredibly specific and incredibly detailed, but on the day of filming, it ended up kind of going out the window because what the actors were giving me on camera was working a lot better from different angles than I thought it would. So we just kind of went with the flow. I did still stick with the original outline of the moments though, because I wanted the music video to look more or less the same way that I had conceptualized it originally. Once filming was done, I obviously moved on to post-production. And again, because I'm not a professional editor, my editing process probably looks a little bit different than the way most professionals do it. I ended up pulling all of my favorite takes and dumping them all into one movie project. And from there, I kind of cut and pasted and shifted and arranged until I had more or less the flow of the story. And that's when I put in the music and I started really trimming and editing to make sure that everything fit where it needed to. It was only as I was about to put the video out that I realized I probably should have an album cover for it. I debated whether or not I wanted to design one completely from scratch, but I ended up just taking a screenshot from the music video itself because I felt like it fit, and really, why do I need to say more than I need to? So that's a general outline of how the video went together. Now, I did have a question. Thank you, Lucky13 Productions, for asking about the story of the music video. It is kind of fragmented, and I did mean for it to be that way. The video isn't a linear progression of time so much as it's a series of isolated moments that can be strung together to tell any number of stories, really. In terms of the actual storyline, it is more or less the story that's described in the song. An angel falls from heaven, another girl finds her, takes her in, and tries to heal her and help her, but can't get her back to where she belongs. Now the thing about it is you can take that plotline entirely literally, or you can see it as a metaphor. Because when we were filming the video, I was basing it all on images as opposed to character, I ended up creating 3 different contexts for the actors to work from, and we would go through each of them in turn. The first context was the story exactly as I described it. No metaphor, it's literally an angel who's fallen. The other 2 contexts were, I hate to use the word realistic, but that's kind of what it was. It was a more real-world scenario, I guess. And they both involved one of the girls having been sexually assaulted in the past. In one of those contexts, the girl taking care of her is her roommate. In the other context, the girl who's taking care of her is her girlfriend. So we had 3 similar storylines and yet very different emotional contexts that we were working from. When I was working with the actors, we'd film each individual shot with all 3 of those contexts, and it kind of allowed them to fill in the images that I wanted them to create with some emotional depth. And when I edited the video, I mixed them all together. It's not supposed to be entirely clear, so I'm glad you asked that question. Now, that doesn't have to be the only interpretation of the music video. It's intentionally unclear, and I meant for the story to be somewhat mutable, so everyone can take what they want from it. But in terms of what we were working with during the creation process, that's what it was. Lucky 13 Productions also asked if I could go through the video kind of shot by shot and explain what's going on. So I'm going to do that right now. Alright, so this opening shot is meant to be kind of setting the scene, showing the rumpled sheets. This was the most impossible shot to film. I need a steady cam. Alright, so this first sequence was one of 7 original moments that I had constructed. The moment when the roommate slash girlfriend comes in and sees this girl staring at her bed. Alright, so my 2 actresses were McKenna Harrington and Jessie Zimmerman, and they're both fantastic people to work with. They're so talented. And the balloons are kind of a premonition of what's going to happen later in the video. And this is the end of that first moment. And then we go to the second of the 7 moments, which is the girl in bed having not so much nightmares, just kind of tossing and turning, not sleeping soundly. Okay, these shots of McKenna in bed, I was standing on my desk chair with the camera attached to my tripod, and I was reaching my tripod out over the bed to try to get up above her. I felt like a spider. And then she gets up, and she goes into the bathroom. I forgot to erase the mirror, which is the start of the 3rd moment, but before that happens, I kind of went back. So this sequence, this first chorus, is meant to kind of be coming from the roommate slash girlfriend's mind. This is what she's dreaming about that night, her memory of the first moment. So then, of course, she hears the girl going into the bathroom. She gets up, follows her. Obviously, she's worried. I don't know if you can tell, but McKenna's bed and Jessie's bed were the same bed because I didn't want to use one of my roommate's beds without their permission. It's the reason they're filmed from 2 different angles, kind of mask that fact. So this entire sequence of the bathroom is this girl kind of seeing the physical reminders of her fall. And she tries to cover it up, she tries to make herself look beautiful, and she ends up breaking down. This entire bathroom sequence only took us about 15 minutes to film. I just kept restarting the scene and McKenna would do something for me. Okay, this shot was actually the inspiration for the entire music video. I knew I wanted that moment with the lipstick. This actor is fabulous, by the way. Doing this sequence with her was such an amazing experience because she was just giving me so much with every take we did. They both did really, really gorgeous work. One thing that's probably very unclear because the story in the music video isn't explicitly told, all of the shots of McKenna walking up and then down the staircase, I intended for those all to be her walking up the staircase to a courtroom to testify, and then walking back down, having had the trial go not the way she wanted it to. I love balloon strings so much. I just love the look of all the strings hanging down. So this is kind of the core sequence of the video right here. This sequence with the roommate tying balloons onto the fallen angel character, and then the angel going and trying to fly away with them. That was the original idea both of the song and of the music video. It was this central image. So here's the core shot of the video. It's right here. This is what it's all about. It's just her with those balloons tied to herself. I was originally going to film it out front of Lincoln Center, but between the private property deal and how famous that one location is, I decided not to use it. Just go with a little staircase behind the school instead, which actually ended up working really well. And then, of course, the last shots where she comes home having not been able to fly, and she has to settle for life on the ground. So there we go. I hope that answered your question. Okay, I'm going to be upfront with you guys and admit that I have no idea how to copyright music. Right now, the video is uploaded under the standard YouTube license, which I think is full copyright, but I'm not entirely sure. I might look into music licensing at some point, but honestly right now it's pretty low on my radar. If you want to use my song for your own work, go for it. Please feel free. Just remember to credit me as the original artist. Alright, I think that's all I've got to say about it. Thank you everybody so much for watching this video and for bearing with me as I figured out exactly how to work in this format. I think honestly this talkback was as much for me as it was for you to kind of organize my thoughts post-release and figure out if this is something that I want to do again in the future, which I think it is. Even though I might not ever make a professional career out of making music videos, I really do enjoy writing songs and writing stories to go with them. So there may be more stuff like this that comes out in the future. So tune in next time. Or, just keep watching my vlogs. Either way.